Good morning or afternoon, Year 10. A different voice for you today. It's Mr. Stevenson here. Hope you're all keeping well. As you can see on this slide, there's the whole of Act 1, the prologue and the context features that you looked at with Mrs. Gardner so far. Please go through and have a recap of that. It's important and it'll help you remember where we are up to and the key parts of the text. Okay, so today, on the next slide you'll soon see, we're going to be looking at the famous balcony scene, which is Act 2, Scene 2. We'll break it up into a few key parts and I'll read through with you. Remember, you can pause me whenever you want. If you want to reread something or re-listen to something, that is absolutely fine. So pause as we go through and then there'll be some notes to make at the end. Okay, so on this slide we're going to read through the first part of Act 2, Scene 2, the iconic famous balcony scene. Now in Act 2, Scene 1, Mercutio and Benvolio are looking for Romeo after the feast and they're making jokes trying to get him to come out of his hiding place, which he doesn't do, and eventually they leave. So at the start of Scene 2, Juliet is calling out for Romeo to come to her, but little does she know he's waiting underneath the balcony where she can't see him in the orchard. So I'm just going to read through now the first part where they confess their love to each other, and let's see how we get on. So pause at any time, it's absolutely fine. So, he jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I am too bold, 'tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all of the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes, to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright, that bird would sing, and think it were not night. See, how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. Ay me, she speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds, and sails upon the bosom of the air. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I will no longer be a Capulet. Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, thou not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet, so Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself. Okay, so in those first two parts that we've just read, just to recap what's happened so far. So Romeo, unheard by Juliet, expresses his love for Juliet and compares her to the sun. We'll come back to that when we talk about celestial bodies and references to that in the notes section analysis after we've read through. And then Juliet goes on to speak to herself about her desire for Romeo to refuse his own name. And what we're going to see now is Romeo making himself known and agreeing to do what Juliet wants and refuse his name as an act to show her how much he loves her. And then we're going to go into this theme about family loyalty that you've already looked at, and we're also going to see Juliet expressing to Romeo how she's unsure about whether he's showing his true feelings for her and whether he really truly does love her. And then it's going to be him trying to prove that to her, and that is through arranging to get married. Okay, so we're going to carry following on. If you want to follow on as you were before. So, I take thee at thy word, call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo. What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel? By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word. My ears have not yet drunken 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague? Neither, fair saint, if either thee dislike. How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here. With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me. If they do see thee, they will murder thee. Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity. I would not for the world they saw thee here. I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate, than death prorogued, wanting of thy love. By whose direction foundest thou out this place? By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise. Thou know'st the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek. For that which thou hast heard me speak to-night, fain would I dwell on form fain, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swear'st, thou may prove false at lovers' perjuries. Then say, Jove laughs, O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown, and be perverse, and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else, not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayst think my haviour light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardst ere I was aware. My truth loves passion, therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered. Lady, by yonder blest moon I swear, that tips with silver all these fruit-tree tops. Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. What shall I swear by? Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. If my heart's dear love, well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. I have no joy of this contract to-night. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which does cease to be, ere one can say, it lightens, sweet, good night. This bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast. Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? What satisfaction canst thou have to-night? The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine. I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again. Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose? Love? Okay, so we're going to miss a little bit out now. We're going to move a bit further down. So we're coming back in just after the nurse has called Juliet. She goes to see the nurse. She comes back and calls Romeo to arrange a time to meet. She asks him what time to meet and where to meet. They're arranging where they're going to go to get married. So we're joining it back again where Romeo's telling Juliet what time to meet. So find the place a bit further down at the end, towards the end of the scene. It starts at the hour of 9. It's Romeo speaking. Okay. At the hour of 9, I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back. Let me stand here till thou remember it. I shall forget to have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy company. And I'll still stay to have thee still forget, forgetting any other home but this. 'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird, who lets it hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving jealous of his liberty. I would I were thy bird. Sweet, so would I. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, parting is such sweet sorrow, that I shall say good night till it be morrow. Sleep well upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace, so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father's cell, his help to crave, and my dear hap to tell. Okay, so that is Act 2, Scene 2. We're now on the next couple of slides going to have a look at some key sections out of that scene and decide, first of all, on the notes that we're going to make for the first slide together, and then on the second slide there'll be some questions for you to make your own notes using the questions and making answers of your own. Remember, when you're making notes, don't write absolutely everything down, just make the notes in your own words. We need to start practicing that now. It's a skill that you'll need going forward. So please just make your own notes, don't write every last thing, otherwise it will take you forever. And on the second slide, just answer the questions in note form. And good luck.